Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas. Super excited today. We are recording a special episode of Profiles in Risk with Tanya Coburn, who is the VP of Marketing Communications at Trufla Technology and the main brain behind the Amplify Broker Tech Fest conference in Calgary, Canada. Did I get all that?
Yeah.
Perfect. So Tanya, thank you so much
Perfect.
for joining me today. So up until recently, I had never been to Canada. I had visited 70 countries and had never visited Canada. I had waited basically until the Writing Insurance Conference happened in Canada. So anyway, unfortunately, I didn't run into you guys until last week, I think. So I ended up visiting Montreal about 3 weeks ago and loved it. And then I was interviewing one of the leaders at, I'm so bad with names, but one of the leaders at Trufla. And as I'm looking at the website, as I'm interviewing him, I noticed the conference. And so we talked a little bit about the conference, and clearly the conference looked really cool. And I wanted to see the rest of Canada. So it made sense for me to say, hey, I'd love to help you guys with this conference. And that's what we're doing. So basically, I'm planning to be there. The dates this year are September 25th and 26th, 2023 at Studio Bell, Calgary. So Tanya, what is this conference?
Absolutely. So we designed a conference that's really a celebration of technology that fits the distribution channel. So that would be your brokers, and what we call in Canada, or agents, as it's referred to in the States. And basically, exactly, it's Broker Tech Fest. It's a celebration, but it's also a celebration of thought leadership in the community. So we've got, and you know her, we got Margot Giles from Iris coming in to talk about, disruption in the CRM. We have change management leaders with Emma Roloff. We have Jeff Adamson, who's the founder of Neo Financial, which is a huge disruptive banking institution in Canada. And he also founded Skip the Dishes, which my American friends won't know what that is, but it's the equivalent of Postmates. So he founded Postmates for Canada, called Skip the Dishes. And we have so many more great speakers. We have Arti Gupta, who's the head of data and insurance at AWS. She's going to be part of our AI panel. And really what we're trying to accomplish here is a deep dive. Like, this is not surface level things that we're talking about. Like, we're really going to get into it in these sessions. And Tony, it's a mix of, and you see it in other conferences, but this is unique. It is a mix of like fireside chats, keynotes, panels, but we're also doing these really immersive boot camps where for that 1 hour, we are going to teach you the intricacies of what we're talking about. Like, usually in a speech or a presentation, you kind of hit the surface level, but these boot camps are like, this is what you can do right now to make an impact at your brokerage or agency or institution. And we're also showcasing the top tech talent in Canada and the US. Like, we're celebrating that and saying, look, like, these companies are here to bolster you, to elevate you, and to amplify you so that you can grow your business confidently in a time where technology is evolving so fast. Like, with the onset of AI, our minds still don't understand exponentially how fast technology is growing. Like, this isn't 10 years ago when people needed a website and SEO program. This is a very different space we're living in. And it's so important to not be afraid of AI, to understand that AI is more of a companion instead of an enemy or a foe that you have to resist. And, Sharif, our CEO of Trufla, has this brilliant quote. He says, brokers will not be replaced. I'm going to say brokers and agents because they're the same thing to countries, will not be replaced by AI, but brokers and agents who embrace AI will replace those who do not. And I think that this conference will address that and will give brokers confidence and tools they need to get ahead.
There's so much here, and I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. Assuming that we don't find the end of civilization because of AI, which I'm 50-50 on, but that's not the topic we're talking about today. I, for one, welcome our AI overlords, and I do my best to be nice to my Siri and my Alexa, so that they'll treat me nicely if they take over, or that's the hope. But yes, assuming that civilization doesn't end, learning how to best utilize AI tools, without question, is an absolute necessity. And it's a piece of advice that I'm giving my brother who's starting college in 2 months, right? Like whatever you learn, definitely learn. And he already is playing with them basically. So important. The speakers for this conference, and again, my world is generally US insurtech. And so the ones that I'm aware of are the ones that I know, and they're both good friends. I know Margot and I know Emma, and they are both freaking fantastic speakers and fantastic thought leaders in the insurtech space in the US. So just Margot and Emma speaking, that's worth the ticket right there, right? Especially given that this is not an expensive conference, at least right now. I don't know if if the price will change.
No.
So right now you can get access to both days for $699, and I'm assuming
Canadian. So US, you're laughing. You're laughing.
so is it true that just like the US calls the dollar the buck, is it true that you guys call the Canadian dollar the loonie?
Absolutely, 100%.
So 699 loonies.
Yeah.
Okay, so 691 Canadians, which as of today's exchange rate is $531.17. Right, that exchange rate will change, but for roughly $550 plus a flight to the middle of Canada, this is a fantastic deal just with those two speakers. Rare. Like I'm always excited when I find a great conference for less than $700 American dollars, right? So and I'm a big fan of conferences organized by us. What I mean by us, by actual practitioners in the insurance insurtech world, not by conference building companies. Many of them from the UK, and don't get me wrong, I do partner with them, and sometimes they produce really good conferences like InsurTech Insights. Sometimes they don't, but I do love conferences put on by us because we understand what's actually valuable to us, right? So speakers are fantastic. Tell me more about, so beyond the speakers, what else gets you excited about this conference? And by the way, this is what the third time you guys are doing it?
Yes, this is our first in person because we actually started this during COVID as a virtual conference, because like, let's rewind back to the dark ages in 2020 March. Trufla, like we were an insurance brokerage first. So that's why we have that deeper knowledge of the insurance company. And back in 2020, we owned Sharp Insurance. It's just the fastest growing, most tech advanced brokerage in Canada at the time. And we went completely offline. Like we were able to go completely online, remote in 24 hours notice. And we had no disruption in service. So for 100 employee insurance call center that never worked, no one ever worked remote. I'll tell you, before that, no one worked remote in insurance brokerages, okay? You go to your office, you sit there, you're on your broker management or agency management system, and you're doing your job with your headset. But we were able to switch it in 24 hours. And other brokerages were like, how did you do that? Like, what are you using? What, like, you got to help us out. So we created Amplify, just like a 2-day session on how to do that. And it became very successful. So we just kept doing these sessions on digitization and things like that. And so this year we're like, you know what, let's go huge. We're tired of virtual events. Like we're all fatigued. We want to be networking in person. We want to like just have those conversations off that you can't have online. So they don't exist, those micro conversations. So what I am most excited about Amplify are the networking events. And like Trufla has a reputation. We work very hard, but we also know how to, celebrate and party. So we have some really fun industry events. So we do we're doing a vino with vendors, so a wine tasting with the vendors where each vendor has a different wine. You go around, you chat, you taste your wine. We're doing like a cool offsite hospitality event where it's like a cool pub with bowling and foosball and stuff like that. So it's not a stuffy industry event. It's very relaxed, but extremely informative. And I think that's the difference. Like we're trying to, and we even with the pricing, we're trying to make it as accessible as possible. We're trying to get that fear out of technology and change out of people's minds and help them understand that it's actually really not that challenging. Like just
Is
take these tiny steps and you're there.
are there any add-ons to the tickets? So for example, the wine tasting, the offsite, all that's included in.
All included, all included. Yes.
All right, that is fantastic. And the website says that you're restricting this to 240 spots. Why
Yes.
is that?
Well, we picked the venue, which is the Studio Bell. It's Canada's iconic. It was built a few years ago and it's like an architectural marvel. It is beautiful. It's our National Music Museum and the capacity is 240. So we had to keep it tight, but we really wanted it to be in this venue because it kind of showcases Canadian music history and our innovation in that area. And we thought it'd be a perfect complement to kind of like for Canadian brokers. And honestly, the more I'm learning about insurance agencies in the States, it's really very similar. A lot of these like issues we're having with current legacy technology. So please come, like this is going to be great. And yeah, so we wanted it to be intimate. Like we didn't want auditoriums filled with people, and we wanted to have those conversations, those Q&As, those two-way, almost like a university that has smaller class sizes. You always get more out of it. You know, that's our thought process out of it.
Okay. Uh, is there still time for sponsors? So the main reason
Yeah.
we're recording today is to
Yeah.
encourage people to attend, both US and Canadians. But do you still have spots for sponsors?
We have a couple spots left. Yes, we do. We do. So, you know, and if you want to get your name out there, if you're really looking at supporting, like if you're an insurer who really believes that brokerages are your main distribution channel and you want your name out there, this is the event for you. Or if you're a technology vendor and you want to participate, you know, there's still some spots open for sure.
That's
It's
fantastic.
limited, but we have a couple left.
So given that this is not at a hotel,
No.
I see that you have 3 hotels listed as options to stay in, and they look like moderately priced hotels.
Yes.
Hilton Garden Inn. It doesn't list the block prices. What are the per night prices looking like at the hotels?
You know what? I actually don't have that information. That's the other organizer. So I take care of more like the speakers, vendor stuff, and she does all the technical stuff. So I don't have that information, but there is a discount available. So if you just want to, I can in your post show notes, I can distribute that for you. For sure.
Perfect. So for the Americans, is it generally feasible? Like I am so confused, like not confused. I'm so ignorant about this part of Canada. So for the Americans, does it usually make sense to fly into Calgary, or is it one of those things where it makes more sense to fly into Edmonton and drive down to Calgary?
For sure. So Calgary is one of the biggest cities in Canada, so it's very accessible. So you can fly, or if you're close to the border, you can drive. It's only a few hours. Yeah, it's very easy. There's a lot of direct flights from major cities in the United States.
Okay. So I've got the map in front of me, and it made me laugh when you said if you're near the border. Well, yeah, if they're near the border to Calgary, they're in Montana or I don't know, Wyoming, one of the two. But anyway, they're like
Are those not insurance
there's
towns?
not population there in general. Like there's like
well, there's mountains. There's lots of beautiful. I've been hiking there.
So flying to Calgary.
Flying to Calgary, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. Personally, I am very, 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 very excited. The venue sounds fantastic. The website is trufla.com/amplify with a Y, AMPLIFY. I will include that in the show notes. Anything else that you really want potential attendees to know?
I honestly think there aren't a lot of events like this in Canada. This is the first of its kind, and I'm very excited to introduce this kind of new way about thinking of a conference. We're not even calling it a conference. It's a Broker Tech Fest, because we're really matchmaking and celebrating brokerages, agencies, and tech vendors in a way that's never really been done before. So if you want to come and really learn and have a good time and experience something different than your conventional conference that you would go to, this is the conference for you.
Okay, so it's not a conference. It's a broker
Yes,
tech fest.
it's a broker
I
tech
need to
fest.
re-educate myself.
Yeah.
So I go to 20 conferences a year and one broker tech fest. Uh, Fantastic. And for the Americans in the audience, which is probably the bulk of my audience.
Yes.
For the Americans in the audience, why why does it make sense to attend, other than the fact it's going to be a lot of fun?
Honestly, I've been watching your show, and I've been following a lot of what Margot's been doing, especially with Iris. And it really strikes me, sometimes we're so, even though we're neighbors, we're so disconnected on what either side of the border does. And the more I am educating myself on the situation for agencies in the United States, it is the same. We are going through the same thing. We're going through possible commission cuts from insurers. We have to streamline our processes. The AMS, sorry for Canada, it's the BMS isn't working for us, and there's a talent shortage, and all of that is affecting both of us. And all of those things we are really deep diving into in Amplify Broker Tech Fest.
Fantastic. Tanya, thank you so much for coming on the show. I am very excited for this Broker Tech Fest. And look forward to meet you there in person and to meet everybody else who comes. I'll be making videos of the event and stuff. So for the viewers, in fact, for the viewers, what are the dates again? Remind me.
September 25th to the 26th.
Okay, so this will be one of the very first opportunities for the viewers to have Tony doing magic, which I started combining my love of magic with my love of insurance and insurtech. So this is only like the third conference where Tony doing magic will be a thing. So you get that as an extra. This just sounds awesome. I'm super excited. Yeah, super excited.
Tony, and I want to say thank you for having me on here. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for just being so excited as well and supporting us. And right away, you understood the vision. And I really, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.